A friend calls you. They're going through something. They've barely finished the first sentence, and your brain is already 3 solutions deep. You know what they should do. You know what has worked for you in the past. You know what you would do if you were them. And you're about to tell them because you love them, because you're helpful, because sitting there doing nothing while someone you care about is struggling feels physically uncomfortable, right? That urge, it has a name. Psychologists have been studying it for over 40 years. And here's the bit that's going to sting, my friends. It makes everything worse. So today we're talking about the reflex that ruins conversations, the one-word reframe that changes how you relate to difficulty, and why the people who are best at solving problems are often the worst at actually changing. Ready? Let's go. Hey, I'm Noemie, former queen of bad habits and corporate go-getter turned well-being coach and personal growth junkie. And in a world full of overwhelming wellness advice, we're here to cut through the noise. This is your space to master healthy habits, transform your mindset, own your well-being, and design a life you love on your terms. We're ditching the highlight reels and embracing the whole messy, imperfect journey towards becoming our absolute best selves. You're the author of your own story. So are you ready to write the next chapter? Let's go, and welcome to Unwritten Potential. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Unwritten Potential with me, Noemie. I am so happy that you're here. So, 20-ish years of corporate life trained me to do one thing brilliantly, and that is hear a problem, solve it, move on. With a blend of decent critical thinking and, let's be honest, a loud mouth, I can fix things usually before the meeting is over, right? That's a skill that has built my career. It is also, as it turns out, the single most counterproductive thing I can do to myself. I found this out the hard way when I started coaching, because 2 decades of being paid decent money to solve problems all day means it's really hard to stop wearing the problem solver hat. Someone would come to me with something they were struggling with, and my brain defaults to solutioning. I'm barely listening to what they were talking about because I was already in that problem-solving mode. And it's not just coaching, right? A friend calls because they're going through something, and I go straight into what has worked for me, what I would do if I was them, what I read in the past that I found helpful. And if I'm being honest, I tend to love talking about myself. I mean, I have a whole newsletter and podcast, so it's probably not that surprising. And it comes from a good place, I swear. I do generally want to help people, so I default to problem-solving mode. But when I started coaching made me realize something super uncomfortable. My clients, they don't actually want to be told what to do. That's the whole point of coaching. If being told what to do worked, we would be all super fit, sleeping 8 hours a night, running widely successful businesses by now. But we don't want to be told what to do. So that urge to fix, the one where you hear a problem and immediately reach for the solution, that has a name. It's called the writing reflex. And 2 psychologists who are behind motivational interviewing, which is one of the coaching tool and method that I use with my clients, they identified this pattern, that urge to help, to make things right, to push a solution before you've even finished hearing the problem. And here's their core finding. The harder you argue for change, the more the other person defends the status quo. Let that land. They resist. Not because they don't want to change, because that's just how humans are wired. Miller and Rollnick describe the alternative as dancing rather than wrestling. A coach guides instead of directs, stays engaged while the client does the thinking, which turns out to be slow, unglamorous, and also unbelievably effective. But pushing the coaching thing aside for a second, we don't just do this to other people. We do it to ourselves all the time. A rough week becomes a new morning routine by Monday. A bad night's sleep and boom, I need a new bedtime protocol and 3 supplements. You don't sit with the thing. You constantly go and solve the thing. But often, not always, but often, the solution doesn't last because it was built on top of something you never actually looked at properly. So again, like a lot of people in corporate, I spent years doing that because that was my professional life and that's the energy that I was bringing into my personal life. You hear a problem, you try to fix it, you move on. And then I took that exact same energy into my own health, my own habits, my own wellness. Solve, optimize, track, repeat. The writing reflex isn't just something you do to other people. It's also the thing that overachievers do to themselves constantly. And it's exhausting. Okay, there's a reframe I learned in coaching training that I think about almost daily. And it goes like this. I want to change my routine, but I am exhausted. Versus, I want to change my routine and I am exhausted. Or this one, I want to get back to running, but my knees hurt. Versus, I want to get back to running and my knees hurt. The first sentence closes the door. The second one holds it wide open, but turns kind of exhaustion into a disqualifier, right? Straight away to no-go. You can't move forward because you're tired. End of the story. And on the other hand, and let's both things be true at the same time. You are tired and you still want something different. Those two things can coexist without canceling each other out. You don't have to fix how you feel before you're allowed to move forward, but makes you think you do and says, nope, and move anyway. In this example, the tiredness comes with you. It doesn't get a veto. So here's your experiment for this week. Next time someone you care about tells you about something hard, something happening to them, set yourself one rule: no solution for the first 5 minutes. Ask questions. Get curious. You only need 3 questions. What does that feel like? What's the hardest part about what's happening? And what do you think you need? No advice, no, hey, have you tried this? Or let me tell you what has worked for me. Just 3 questions and whatever silence comes after them. And notice what happens in them, not in you. The urge to fix will almost be unbearable if you are like me. I'm clearly, naturally, a terrible listener. So to me, the urge to fix is something that my coaching training has really helped me with. Because that urge to fix, that's the writing reflex. Now you know what it's called. And if you want the advanced version, try the same 3 questions on yourself the next time you're mid-solutioning. What does this feel like? What's the hardest part? What do I actually need right now? And you might be surprised how different the answer is from the plan you were about to make. The space between someone sharing a problem and you offering a solution is the most important space in any relationship, including the one you have with yourself. I'm still learning not to fix things. I'll probably be learning forever. But at least now I know what I'm doing when I do it, and that turns out to matter more than expected. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like, you might consider subscribing at unwrittenpotential.com for the newsletter and the podcast. Take care of yourself, sending you much love, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.